But yeah.
Yeah, it does sort of seem like overall, though, we've seen a lot of the maps sort of have slight balance and tweaks, obviously, now where there is a way bigger sort of exposure to competitive games that we've had on it, where we can see how that's actually affecting it in benchmarks, because things have been tweaked mostly for the better. It seems like Onward's obviously been on that upward trajectory more and more to get more and more competitively viable, Blue. But we're back in Bazaar, third time in a row. How bizarre, again.
So we're going to end up on it once more. The uplink is finally going to take us to the central uplink as well, which is one that we actually haven't seen yet today. So he's been on the far east and west side of the map that we've ended up on. So it's going to be a bit of a different play style here from our attacking side. As actually, they're going to have a lot more ability to kind of roam around the edges of the map due to the fact that the uplink is not on a very side-focused position. So teams will have a little bit more freedom of strategy here, but that means the defense is probably going to have a bit of a tougher time.
Okay. It seems like Don Patron, I think, is actually rocking that angle that we saw being incredibly effective behind essentially what is the oversized plant pot by the palm tree. Because if you can defend from that position, you're so exposed, more so when you actually do push out, that the line of sight complements you incredibly more. Actually helps out your teammates there. Riboman getting a bit of a fright as Plenus just runs into his face.
And so we've got Don Patron in this similar angle that we saw Mantis using back in our European matchup before, and this was really hard to deal with because it's hard to land a nade here that'll actually affect Don Patron. And on top of that, obviously, when he takes a duel, it's not going to reveal him all that much. So he's in a pretty powerful position here. A little bit of a hand sign. Is he rapping or what's he doing?
I think he's being the hype man, Blue. He's absolutely... I told you, the Danglers, they don't mess about. Oh, he's got moves, Blue.
What is he doing?
He's absolutely giving it. That's
what
he's
doing.
He's
on camera, first of all. This would be really embarrassing if he wasn't on the stream.
just gets one bulleted. Yeah. What are you doing, Plenus? Yeah. Just dabbing, you know.
Let's not talk about that. Well, we caught it, so perhaps to our observing team for that one. As we are... Oh, I thought Plenus was doing something funny too for a second. Like he was doing like the baseball bat spin around, yeah. Where he put his gun on the ground and spun around on it.
Vintage Plenus.
Yeah. The Danglers, though, quickly surrounding the site, primarily from the northwest side at this point, as they're going to try to work their way in towards the uplink itself. And we'll see how they are able to build up towards this a little bit later on in the round here.
Well, Don Patron still in the prime time angle. It's an absolutely filthy cut angle that you can do a ton of damage from if they don't realize he's playing there. However, the two-player setup for the Danglers is actually going on the outer side, actually 3 of them. With Executioner there as well, this could be very effective. They could flank behind him and have a complete clear on the outer side, Blue. This could be huge, but it all depends on the timing of Riboman as well. Slowly creeping up. There's a little bit of an opening gap there. Malino, if he extends further around that corner, should get the read and know he's in close proximity. They've also given the game away, casting out the first nade.
Malino might be ready to take the duel against Riboman if he attempts to peek into that angle again, but no, he's going to chuck a nade over the top. It's going to be a bit off the mark, unfortunately. Riboman already inside of one of the market buildings here, so he's not going to be spotted out as a result of that. However, he's trying to bait with a tablet, it looks like there too. You can see his arm extended up into the air as he was trying to bait out a headshot or something, but didn't end up getting it because he's already moved into a different position. This is probably going to devolve very quickly, by the way, folks. So when kills start happening, you can expect them to happen relatively quickly in this round, just due to how close everyone is without most of them even realizing it at this point. Expediter's going to strike first, though. Spots Malino, trying to push his way in from the other side. He's going to go down. Not fully eliminated just yet. Nintendo will take out Sri Lankan with Riboman finding Malino. Rushers gets the trade with a quick elimination onto Expediter. Don Patron still at this power plant position. Oh, moves in to find Nintendo and Plenus. He hasn't even been spotted yet. Rushers, in the meanwhile, is going to be able to take out Riboman, bringing us into a 1v3. Heavy advantage to Phoenix. Executioner running right up on Don Patron. Somehow he didn't hear it. And now bringing this into the 1v2. He's going to have to move up on Rushers in a moment here, but no, instead it's Pause out by the fountain instead. That takes him out first and gives Phoenix the opening round.
I don't think you could have summed it up any better in the sense that that did literally go from 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds, right? Instant chaos. Everything just plunged in. As soon as we saw that first frag come through, Malino goes down, and then everyone just starts combat, and they fall one by one to that point. That's just lunacy. Phoenix taking it overall, though. I mean, it looked like it was going to go the way of the Danglers for a fair portion of the round there.
They had the control, but ultimately when it comes down to it, right, when you have that many players still alive, that close to the end of the round, when you're at like sub 2 minutes or something like that, it's bound to be an explosive play because both teams know that time is incredibly low and that's probably the all-in execute. And that when one player is spotted pushing, especially if it's an attacker going down first, it's probably everyone within relatively close proximity. So you basically, you know, batten down the hatches at that point, as that's when the execute is going to begin, and that's exactly what we saw there. Members of Danglers just try to really commit themselves to the push, but ultimately not bringing enough to it as they do fall to the defense that time.
Yeah, just completely overwhelmed going in. More so than anything as well, I mean, the positional play of Don Patron, the fact that he was able to actually get the follow-up frag off the back of the first one. Mexecutioner came in, you know, Mexecuted him in the end. Luckily, was actually able to take him down, but still, ridiculous stuff. That angle seems so effective. That's the second time today we've seen it just completely shred.
Yeah, and it's weird that we haven't seen it used before, at least from my experience. If it has been used, like, we haven't really seen it on stream or we just haven't caught it. But yeah, like, ever just today, like, all of a sudden, all these teams are using this angle. So it either was something recently discovered or something that we're just now catching on to for the first time here. And the defenders, you can count on them using it again, as we are going to be in the same defensive position for at least one more round here before the uplink will actually shift.
Is Plenus dancing again?
I think it's Mexecutioner right now. He's just he's got to be careful. He's gonna give some motion sickness if he swings around like that too quickly. At least in my case, it would give me that.
Well, they're sprinting their way up. Phoenix boys already rising from the ashes and keeping on moving from their previous success as they bombard their way in. Ridiculously quick movement as they're actually getting a lot of map control. It's a fairly heavy squad. Nintendo firing off the warning shots as he gets the first contact. They are belting back towards him when he does have to concede ever so slightly.
Nintendo once again holding his own from the inside of the shed here. Trying to see if he can catch him for Phoenix out in the open. He did spot the majority of this push though, so you can already see Danglers moving into better positions to counter this out. Specifically, they've sent someone way over to the far west side now to blockade any attempt to try and push up the north. And that's where Danglers can actually really cut off this attack early on. If Plenus is able to pick up even at least just one frag from here, he'll end up with a pretty big advantage. Nade goes his way, so Sri Lankan definitely knows he's hiding around here somewhere. But Plenus is being careful. He's not going to peek out against that window, as he knows it probably means his death, unless he comes up with a really clutch shot. Rushers, in the meanwhile, is going to strike first here for Phoenix as he picks up the opening frag on Nintendo. Plenus commits, though. Sri Lankan's going to end up pushing him in the open here. He's got the shield. Difficult duel for Plenus. He's got the sidearm up.
He's butchered the Plenus.
I really wish we caught what they were saying, too, because they were yelling at each other. They were like, come on, let's get it, let's get it.
Oh.
And then they just both die.
Well, Plenus, he went in thick and pumped, but he went down, Blue.
Actually, no. Sri Lankan wins it, because look, he didn't
back up.
Die.
Oh.
Sri Lankan, I think, got a headshot, so he got the full kill against that member of the Danglers, but Sri Lankan never fully went down, so he technically wins that duel there.
He literally stabbed him. He was able to get close enough to just
knock him out.
Cut his way through him. Wow. All right, well, that's the opening trade of a lifetime.
Just two bulls charging at each other there. Locking horns.
Locking sidearm and shield. Oh, my.
I love how, like, both the other teams just, like, let that happen, too. Like, no one interrupted.
It's fine. They'll deal with it.
This is going to transpire.
That was the battle for the alpha male position.
All right, well, Danglers, unfortunately, are going to be at a pretty heavy disadvantage now as a result of that duel and the other loss they suffered at the beginning of the round. Don Patron, though, look at all the ground he's gained. Not just him either, but he's got another teammate way out towards the east that's taken a lot of ground away from the Danglers, probably without them realizing it. So this is going to be trouble for them. Executioner moving pretty quickly here, too, to try to play around the tree pot, and he's actually going to be able to have much better luck in knocking out Sri Lankan this time. Riboman also finding Malno. That's very quickly going to even us up into a 3v3.
Oh, this is huge now. Major advantage. Executioner still looking to try and do some more damage. There is going to be a nade cast through. Unfortunately, it gets blocked and won't go in to actually get that follow-up frag onto Riboman. A bit of a cheeky follow-up with the smoke as well, as Don Patron's holding that angle. Executioner seeming like he has the read, knows where he is, but doesn't really have a reason to overly extend, as all three of those players are just waiting for the push. And here comes Don, sprints his way through, trying to actually don it into the round, gets spotted out by Riboman, as he is going to be completely overwhelmed. And at this point, it's all left on the last remaining Phoenix, Blue.
You can see, though, that the members of the Danglers are being very proactive about checking their surroundings. They don't know where this last player is. I don't think they actually realize they have pretty heavy advantage at this point, so they're trying to be a little bit more careful than they necessarily need to be. Rushers, though, the last end of the fight, so not necessarily playing into his namesake this time around. First nade is out. Way too high, though. Ooh. Be able to find much impact. And the smoke, unfortunately, is going to be dead giveaway to his... Oh, to his position. However, the trade, he's going to try to find one against Executioner as well, but he moves just a bit too quickly with the swing around there. So Danglers are going to take this second round and tie us up now at 1-1.
Executioner with a G36 see you later there at the end. Just completely throws him out the window. Two beautiful kills actually from the Executioner into that round, playing a ton more aggressive than we've seen other players that have actually been rocking it around that angle. He just outright went for the aggression when he saw that shield. Completely committed to the combat. The follow-up wide swing as well, knowing that he could try and get the trade in his teammate. It worked well.
Yeah, so great stuff in being able to take out Sri Lanka. And obviously his other teammate didn't have much luck in that respect, as they both just slow walked at each other earlier on in the round. Probably one of the more comical 1v1s we've ever had on the stream, that's to be sure. But ultimately, again, the attackers end up falling short as the defense will pick up the opening 2 rounds on that central uplink point before we see it moved again towards the, looks like the East Courtyard is where we're going to end up in once more. So another very polarizing site here that generally plays into the defenders' favor, but that's assuming they can keep all 5 players alive throughout the majority of the round to deny any easy access for the attackers, either through the market on the west side, through the street from the south side, and by extension the east through the junker that connects to that street, or of course through the alley coming up from the very, very north side.
I just still can't get over the shield play. I think that's our top 5 clip of the week right there.
Oh, I've got it written.
Right? So, yeah, that's the one we want to throw in to promote, because I mean that's a Twitter highlight in itself. That was absolutely ludicrous. Just,
I really wish we were like just silent during.
We should have just let it happen.
We had to try and watch back the clip later because I really want to know what they were like screaming at each other as they were doing that. I mean, it's always great when we get actual player comms.
Yeah.
It's comical like that. They just start screaming at each other. But here we go, folks. Out of the truck in the Humvee and into the round, as we'll see if the Danglers or the Phoenix can get up to map point first coming off of this.
Let me know when you get over there, X, so I can stop looking down the street. But I'm gonna go.
Slight bit of the back and forth there, the chatter from the Danglers.
I hate this course.
It's always great to come into these like completely out of context.
I think that was him supposed to be doing his movement noises, because he was sprinting whilst going, wow.
So it's looking like the majority of the Danglers are going to be trying to push him from the south side this time. They've got, actually, their entire roster is really extended out right now. There's only a 2-man team that could possibly trade anything. Besides that, if anyone from the Danglers gets picked right now, there's no chance for an immediate trade, as they're way too far apart.
The thing is, the 2 big flanks that we're seeing right now is Executioner on this side of the map. And the one that's actually gaining a lot of ground and getting closer and closer is the far right-hand portion of the map, who's just charging his way through. Potentially the backstab here could be so big. Expediter as well in a position where if he gets a little bit closer, he might hear their back and forth of the comms and could actually relay a ton of information to the Danglers, Blue.
Of course, you got to be careful how revealing that information, as the second he gives out comms, he's probably going to be revealing himself to his opponents as well. So we'll see if he can catch anything. It's normally radio silent for defenders, though, at this point in the round, just because of the fact that someone could be close, and they obviously won't realize it until the fight begins. So it's mainly going to be on the attackers that'll have the luxury of being able to communicate. The defenders, it bounces out, though, and that the defenders normally have that tablet sitting down in front of them, which will give them all the extra info, whereas the attackers normally don't have that luxury to throw that onto the ground without just ditching it somewhere.
So, looks like Plenus is our man that was going for the full rotation on the outskirts. Sri Lankan's actually now got into a nicer position, slightly just on the off angle of the box. He should be able to appear just over this wall. As you can see, the slight angle there on the gun, so he can try and get a read off. Meanwhile, the full wolf pack, led by Riboman and Nintendo, as they do start to get in position, slowly getting closer. This tends to be where we see the commotion kick off, as there's a lot of choke points ahead of them.
Expediter slowly creeping up. Obviously, I'm going to be careful of some of these side hallways here. Getting danger close to their opponent's setup. It's actually almost a little bit too passive from Phoenix here. We'll have to see. Paz should be able to hold pretty efficiently from his current position. But it's more, you can see he's checking left and right, but he's always keeping his gun leading into that hallway, so he knows it's probably going to come from this hallway here. So he's not moving his gun position at all. Just changing his head spot here. Expediter, though, hasn't been able to see him behind the pallets just yet, but probably the same exact thing for Paz. Ooh, looks like he might have spotted something, though. Starts to lean out just a tad more there. Expediter at least makes his way into the room. Rushers, in the meanwhile, will pick up the opening frag on Executioner. Paz just gets full sprayed into by Expediter, as he's going to be able to pick up the trade and bring this down to a 4v4. Mountain, in the meanwhile, trying to chuck a nade into the alley, but there is no one there to eat that.
That was a nice little pre-fire Russia's still having a fairly effective game. Sri Lankan as well does spot out Plinus, so the big flank they've been trying to develop doesn't work out well. Unfortunately, his repayment is his teammate gunning him down in the streets in cold blood. Nintendo comes into effect as well. Expediter also has a pick at the pie, and at this point they have the man advantage. It's a 3-on-2 with Phoenix being the squad with the lesser manpower.
They've also got another player very far off site here, which again could be a bit of a double-edged sword. If they can leverage him, they're trying to take out players that ended up in the open earlier on here. He can use that, but that's not what he's doing. He's starting to move further down towards the south to cover more of this junkyard. But to be fair, that's probably going to get him at least one kill here. It's Rushers, by the way, holding that position. Nintendo is sitting on the other side of it, but I think they've spotted each other, so the advantage is gone, just like that. It's very unfortunate how things like that play out in this game. Danglers as well, running low on time, but with the man advantage, they can start to stress the timer a little bit more on the hopes that maybe, just maybe, they can go for an uplink here and actually end the game on this round itself. But with the current setup of the players, I'd say that's a little bit unlikely. So you're going to have to knock out one right next to the uplink, and the second will more than likely just rush out and eliminate himself. But that's not going to happen. Riboman manages to get the flank on the rushers first as Don Patron, the player by the uplink itself that's left as the last man alive, tries to go for an A-chuck into the window. A little bit too high on that, so Riboman will avoid the damage completely. But that's not stopping Don Patron. He's remaining proactive in this position, trying to hold a tight angle in the side hallway here, right by the fruit market. By the uplink itself, too. Bit of a silent duel now between him and Riboman. Riboman being smart about this, not trying to risk himself too early on in the round. They've still got 30 seconds to play off of. And more importantly, they've got time to wait for their other teammate to get into a better position. Nintendo still across the street, has great overwatch into the building that our last man alive from Phoenix is holding into. Nade across the way, 2 nades actually. Really just got to completely blind him out with this and hope that they can push him out. This could be dangerous, as now they're going to have to push into him. Remind you of the timer here. They're going to push from 2 sides though, and it's not even going to be needed, as Riboman moves right in through the backside, finishes off the round, and Danglers claim round number 2 for themselves, and also set up to map point first.
Yeah, Riboman hitting it from the back and then stamping on his body. A little bit of disrespect there towards the end, but they do pick it up and take a small lead. Obviously a 2-1 scoreline now as they're keeping it fairly close, but the Danglers starting to feel slightly further ahead, Blue. Obviously if they have another fantastic round like that, they would actually be able to close this one down. We're still rocking that best-of-1 format.
Yep, a lot of games and a lot of maps, especially on Bazaar, end up coming down to who can win the majority of attacking rounds, and right now it's 1-0 to Danglers as they just took the first attacking round of this entire game so far. So Phoenix have to hope they can do the same exact thing on the same exact site, or it's going to be over, and we will see the Danglers claim victory. 3-1, knocking Phoenix out of the running here in the LCQ, and of course moving them back into the upper bracket to face up against the very team that took them out of it in Rome, a team that actually I haven't seen perform too much up until this point. So they've been kind of a surprising push. Even looking at the names as well, not a whole lot of history coming up from that roster. So we're going to see how well they perform. I think that'll be most of our first times checking them out here.
Yeah, a little bit of potentially, if the Danglers do actually do take this, the old guard versus the new blood then, we might say, obviously going into that point of our finals, because we've seen a lot of the Danglers over the time, obviously, even back into sort of Season 2 and before, so that one would actually be quite spicy as a game to close us out here in the Last Chance Qualifier.
All right, guys, well, round number 4 is ready to rock and roll, so we're going to head back in game in just a second here, as both the teams are getting ready. Looks like some members of, I think the Danglers here, they've had a member of their team have to go up against the wall or something. Plinus is,
he's praising the sun. Wait, are they trying to get into a...
I am objective, boy.
Plinus.
I think they're fighting over who gets to sit on the site.
Yeah, Plinus is the objective boy. That's what we take away from that.
As he raises his hands to praise it.
I love Plinus.
Praise the AK Lord.
It blesses your AK. It gives you plus 10 damage.
Yeah. It's a little known fact. A little known fact. If you raise your AK up to the sun blesses it. Gives it a buff for that round. If you die there, you lose it.
Yeah.
It's in true Dark Souls fashion.
Just take it to the nearest bin fire and drop it in.
It also restores your HP when you do that, but also all the enemies respawn as soon as you do that, so you gotta be careful with it.
And they're slightly stronger.
Yeah, they're slightly stronger. You do it enough, they'll disappear eventually, but... We've got Sri Lankan making the push forward first. There's actually a lot of ground gained by Phoenix this early on, so props to them, because they know that they're, up against the tough odds here. What? That's a super early push. I think the nade missed, though. I think he bounced it off the window, but just gonna alpha with the shield.
Oh, he's got the knife out.
You're dead. Rushers gets the trade, though. We very quickly end up down into a 4v4. He's also going to try to chuck a nade to the open, hoping he gets lucky, but no dice on that one this time.
Oh, my. The knife play's beautiful. absolute confidence, like a true South Londoner just charging in there. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, and everyone is being blown to pieces, Blue. They're just being shut down. One man down, still left in a revivable state for the meantime. Dom Patron, though, going to be absolutely executed as he gets spotted. Plenus completely eliminated. That's Objective Boy done for. And the Danglers take it. I mean...
That was, I think, one of the fastest
yeah.
I've ever seen at this level of play. 2 minutes and like 40